Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking something absolutely wild, an astonishing astrobiological survey report sent back from the unmanned Ethelgard probe. We're going to map out a truly alien technological paradigm using this slide deck. We're looking at Planet 3 in the Zeta Phyllon system, or as it's locally known, Phyllon-Prime. And honestly, what the probe found there challenges literally everything we think we know about how an advanced civilization is actually built.
So, think about this. What if the most advanced civilization in the galaxy didn't use metal or fire? It sounds crazy, right? I mean, look at human history. Our entire technological progress is defined by thermal extraction. We discovered fire, we smelted bronze and iron, we burned fossil fuels, and we forged silicon in ultra-hot furnaces. But on Phyllon-Prime? Well, evolutionary refinement bypassed industrial combustion entirely. They never discovered fire, simply because they never needed it.
Meet our subject, the Phytocladus Accord. This is a hyper-intelligent, planetary-scale collective of flora. Yep, you heard that right. An intelligence made entirely of plant life. It functions beautifully without any central animalian nervous system. There's no brain, no spinal cord. It's basically the smartest houseplant you could possibly imagine. Instead of neurons, it relies on these incredibly advanced, self-growing biochemical and biophysical networks spread across the entire globe.
To get a grip on how this all works, here's our agenda for the briefing. We'll start with 1. A hyper-intelligent alien biosphere, then move to 2. Organic quantum computing networks, 3. Living energy and supermaterials, 4. Biological interstellar space travel, 5. Planetary scale weather control, and finally, 6. The botanical alternative. Okay, starting right at the foundation. Section 1. A hyper-intelligent alien biosphere.
Check this out. The roots here build a wood-wide web on a scale that's just hard to fathom. Forget your spotty home Wi-Fi. The Phytocladus has engineered specialized mycorrhizal fungi that actively mine the soil for metalloids like germanium and silicon. They take these metals and deposit them in thin sheaths right around their fungal threads. This effectively turns the whole fungal network into a massive semiconducting coaxial cable system. Information just zips through these underground cables using both electrical pulses and biological light pulses. It's literally living fiber optics. And the absolute best part? Say an earthquake severs a line, no problem at all. Growth hormones are secreted, and the network regenerates the connection within hours.
Moving up into the leaf canopy, we hit Section 2, Organic Quantum Computing Networks. This is where we see a stark juxtaposition between our engineering and theirs. Humanity relies on etching rigid silicon channels to move electrons around, which, as you know, generates massive amounts of wasted heat. But the Phytocladus? It uses specialized leaves that actually function as quantum computers. In natural photosynthesis, plants use quantum coherence to transfer energy. Well, the Phytocladus took that and weaponized it. By actively altering the Turgor pressure, that's the water pressure inside its leaves, it changes the physical distance between light-harvesting proteins. This manipulates quantum states, letting them run room-temperature quantum computations using nothing but starlight.
Several petaflops. That is the processing power of just a single cubic centimeter of this computational foliage. Just to put that into perspective for a second, a handful of these leaves completely dwarfs the processing efficiency and power of humanity's most advanced, energy-hungry supercomputers. It's just mind-blowing.
Now let's look at Section 3, Living Energy and Supermaterials.
So how do you build a physical trunk for an intelligence like this without steel? Well, if we visualize these mechanisms like a giant biological blueprint, we see a perfectly integrated system. Their exotonic light canopy captures starlight at a stunning 92% efficiency. And instead of using toxic chemical batteries, energy is stored in massive underground high-pressure water chambers called osmotic Turgor accumulators. They pump mineral salts in, which draws water in to create a staggering 40 megapascals of pressure. When they need power, they release the water through vascular channels lined with piezoelectric proteins to generate high-voltage electricity. And for physical movement, no steel pistons here. They use vascular tubes filled with a non-Newtonian shear-thickening fluid. When they need a limb to be rigid, osmotic shifts instantly turn the fluid solid. When it needs to bend, it relaxes right back into a fluid. They literally use hydraulic sap muscles.
120 gigapascals. That staggering number represents the tensile strength of their Lignocellulosic Graphene Composite, or LGC for short. Instead of smelting metals, these specialized builder plants pull carbon dioxide right out of the air and enzymatically assemble it into pristine single-atom-thick graphene sheets layered right inside their wood. This self-healing, living composite vastly outperforms human titanium alloys, it's lightweight, it's thermoresistant, and is entirely grown from the atmosphere.
Having mastered their planet's surface, they looked upward. Let's get into Section 4, Biological Interstellar Space Travel.
Seriously, how do you get to space without building a metal rocket and burning kerosene? Well, move over rocket scientists, because you just grow a mountain-sized gun instead. The Arbo Ballista is a 3-kilometer-tall, hollow tree reinforced with that graphene composite we just talked about. The launch sequence is this brilliant 4-step masterpiece. First, deep taproots tap into geothermal volcanic vents to heat subterranean water chambers. Second, the tree extracts and compresses atmospheric nitrogen into its trunk to over 100 megapascals. Third, a rapid osmotic depressurization is triggered at the base. And fourth, the expanding superheated gas accelerates a seedling payload right up the barrel of the trunk and straight out of the atmosphere at escape velocity.
Once out in the vacuum of space, they rely on an entirely biological toolkit for survival. They deploy these massive, kilometer-wide living solar sails made of hyper-flat, reflective crystalline wax so they can surf on solar photons. For orbital maneuvers, they use biorockets. These are combustion chambers grown from carbon composite wood that mix biologically synthesized hydrogen peroxide and nitrogen-rich fluids to create actual hypergolic thrust. That means the fluids spontaneously ignite on contact to push the ship forward. And to survive centuries in the freezing, irradiated vacuum, they wrap their seeds in radiotrophic fungi. This specialized bark doesn't just block cosmic radiation, it literally eats it. It converts the radiation into chemical energy to power the seed's life support.
Dropping back down from orbit into the atmosphere, let's examine Section 5, Planetary Scale Weather Control. So, the Phytocladus doesn't just endure the weather, it actively weaves it. To communicate across vast distances without radio waves, which, can be easily disrupted by solar flares, they use the wind. They release highly complex, volatile organic aerosols to swap data packets right through the air. Receiving trees decode the molecular shape of these chemicals and just pass the message along. Need water? Entire forests of stormweaver trees release ice-nucleating bacterial spores to trigger cloud condensation and precise rainfall. And what about deadly lightning? Well, the tallest trees actively ionize the air above them, coaxing incoming lightning strikes directly into specialized copper-laced trunks to instantly recharge those massive underground Turgor batteries we were talking about. And to ensure their collective memory survives any kind of geological catastrophe, they don't use hard drives that degrade in a decade. No, archivist trees absorb silica from the soil and use tiny biological lasers to etch data into microscopic silica crystals called phytoliths. When the tree dies, these tiny, immortal data vaults fall into the soil. When you think about the scale of time we're talking about here, it's wild. These biological data vaults can sit safely in the crust for over 100 million years. They're completely immune to rot or radiation. 100 million years? Finally, as we wrap up this awe-inspiring briefing, let's look at Section 6, the Botanical Alternative.
Bringing it all together, this comparison perfectly illustrates our two divergent paths. Think about it. We use silicon chips that generate massive heat. They use room-temperature quantum computing. We lay down fragile fiber optics. They grow self-healing litho-nets right there in the soil. We forge steel. They pull carbon straight from the air for graphene composites. We burn fossil fuels. They operate multi-tiered excitonic canopies. We are a thermal extractive civilization. They are a clean biological civilization operating in perfect energetic equilibrium. It really puts things in perspective.
And that leaves us with a profound final question about our own future trajectory as a species. What can human engineers learn from a civilization that doesn't manufacture its technology, but plants, nurtures, and harvests it? The Phytocladus shows us that extreme technological advancement doesn't strictly require a smelting furnace. As we face our own planetary challenges, how might we look to biology rather than just industry to solve our greatest engineering hurdles? It's definitely something to think deeply about.
Please like and subscribe.